So far, we learned how to find any subdomains that exist within our target website and that have not been listed. In today's lecture, we're going to see how we can find files and directories that are stored on our target computer or our target website. Again, these could be useful because these files could contain passwords, they could contain config information, or they could contain information about the actual server, which will help us further exploit our target. Let me just first show you what I mean by files and directories, just to show you the structure of directories on a web server. So here I have my Metasploitable machine, and as we know, usually the web server stuff is stored in var www, and if I do an ls, you'll see, or I'll do an lsla just so that it's nicer, you'll see that we have a number of files and directories, and we can see that we have a directory there called Metilidae. Metilidae is a web application that is designed to be hacked. Just like Metasploitable, it is designed so that it has a number of exploits so that we can learn how to hack based on it. So we can see that that's installed in a directory called Metilidae. Now, if I go here to my IP address, now this is the IP address of the Metasploitable machine. So if I do an ifconfig here, you'll see that it's 10.20.14.204. So I'm in there, and you can see that they have an easy access for me for Metilidae. If I click it, look at the URL here. So it's /Metilidae. That means I'm inside the Metilidae directory. So every time you see a /, that usually means you're inside a directory. So let's go back here, do an ls, and if I do cd Metilidae, I'm going to do an ls, and you'll see that I have a large number of files here. So let's say, for example, I wanted to open one of these files, and we have index.php. If I do index.php, then this is our current file. It's called index.php. So what we learn from this is Metilidae is just a directory inside my web root. So at the moment in the Metasploitable device, I'm in, let me just write it here for you. So I'm in var www Metilidae, and then the file that I'm accessing is index.php. Okay, so I hope this is clear now. So I'm in this directory, and I'm accessing a file called index.php. So if I just do a pwd here, you'll see that I'm in var www Metilidae. The IP address kind of hides where your www root is, so it hides the var www, and then everything after that will be displayed here after the IP address. So what we're looking to find today is all the directories and the files that we cannot see. So throughout these links, we will be able to access different types and different pages. This is the same with any other website, but there is always files and directories hidden that you just never see. So we'll see how we can get URLs for these files and access them and read the information in it. To do that, we're going to use a tool called dirb. And to see how to use that tool, we're going to do man dirb to see all the options associated with that tool. So you can see that to use the tool, you just type in dirb, the URL of your target, and then you put a word list. So the way this works is it works based on a brute force attack, and it just uses a word list of names, and it sends requests with these names, and anytime it actually finds something, it tells us that, oh, I found a file with this name. So it will only be able to find names and directories based on the word list that you provide. Now you can create a word list using Crunch, or you can use word lists that come in within dirb. The options here allow you to configure how the tool is going to work. So you can change things around the way you want it. For example, you can disable the recursiveness of the tool, so it just runs on one directory instead of trying a number of directories. you can get it to ask you if you want it to access a directory or not, instead of it automatically accessing directories and trying to find files within these directories, because this could be exhaustive if your target is a big website. There might be a lot of directories, and then the tool will be trying to access all of them and find files within all of them. So you can see how big the tree could go. You can also set it to use a username and a password if the target website uses some sort of authentication. You can use V for verbose output. And you can also use O to output the results to a file. So let me show you a very simple example of it. I'm just going to run derb on our target, which is 10, 20, 14, 204. And that should be HTTP. Because remember, we're targeting a website, not an IP address. Then I'm going to put the directory that I want to find files and directories within. I don't want it to be accessing anything within other, because we can see here there's a number of scripts installed on this web server. So we have this script, and we also have phpMyAdmin, and we have TikiWiki. So we don't want it to be accessing all of them. We only want it to be working on Matilda on this example. So that's why I'm only using this URL, and then it's going to start finding URLs and files within this particular web application. So I'm going to hit enter, and we're going to let it to work. So this is going to use a word list file, and it's using a default small word list file that is stored in here. So it's in user shared derb word lists common.txt. You can have a look in this directory and see if there is any other word lists that you'd like to use, and you can use them only by placing the full path to the word list after the command. So instead of the way I wrote the command, you'd write it like this, and then you'd state where your word list is. For example, let's say if it's in root, you state it as root word list .txt or whatever. But at the moment, it's using the default one, which is stored in this directory in user shared derb word lists, and it's using the one that's called common.txt.